run-ins are rising. We're in the middle of June. If you're in the South, then you know that heat exhaustion, we talked about that, and the precautions to take in the warm weather running. You can still do it. You just got to be smart about it, be safe about it, and take those precautions that you need to. So hopefully you guys are all doing that and staying safe out there.
Yeah, because we're now in the middle of June and it's getting warmer. We want to be outside running and we want to make sure that we're safe in the sun, right? And this is what we're going to talk about today because we've been kind of talking about this loosely and Patty's been discussing this in her lives recently. So we thought this would be a good topic for today.
Just to go over sunscreens and what to avoid and things that foods that might be affecting you being more susceptible to the sun and the burning and those things. So a lot of new research that you might not know about.
Because again, the reason why we have the name of this group is that it all starts with nutrition, right? So if you're eating a lot of, we're going to get into this, a lot of the wrong foods, it's going to impact your skin, which is going to impact your performance, your ability to run. All those things are tied together. So
it can also increase the damage that you get from the sun.
Yeah, so that's just one piece of it because there's other stuff which we're going to go into today. Mm-hmm. But all this ties together. But again, benefits and then there's some downsides that we're just going to make you aware of this as we get into today. So we're going to set this up. Yeah, so don't fear the sun. Just fear your skin protection really is what it comes down to. So as we say, each and every, this is not medical advice. This is stuff that we are researching, things that we are practicing. We're sharing it with you guys so you guys can think for yourself.
And do your own research.
Exactly. Because we choose to have a good day today, as can you. And so we hope you guys are making that choice to have a good day as you start your weekend every day that way. Exactly. So recap, last week we talked about running in hot weather because now here we are. We talked about the risks running in the heat, signs of heat exhaustion, how to prepare, tips, then how to recover from those elements. But again, today we're going to talk about don't fear the sun. And it's really shocking as we've dug into this because we talked about this a couple of years ago, almost a year ago, I guess. And now it's kind of circling back over. But there are benefits to sun exposure. A lot of things you hear in the mainstream now is it's just terrible, but that's not exactly true. It's just obviously moderation, right?
Yeah, it's the dose. Remember, too much water will kill you. So there are things that benefit you, but too much of it, it's always in the dose. Yeah. Fundamentally, we need sunlight is life. So we know we need that. We just need to be smart about it, but we need it. We know for our vitamin D production, which we know vitamin D isn't just, it's for our bones, for our immune health, for our fat, our sex hormones, all tons of things that vitamin D does. It's not just a vitamin, it's a hormone that impacts us. And we need that. And our best way of getting it is naturally from the sun.
Right. You think about this well before any kind of oral supplements came onto the marketplace, we were getting this naturally. And so we've kind of lost that just due to some, good marketing, but at the same time has now been demonized. And again, in the right quantities is actually a good thing.
Yeah, it's actually vital.
Yeah, exactly. So because it's going to regulate your serotonin, melatonin, and it's going to give you endorphins. That's why when you go outside in the sun, you feel good, right?
You feel better. Just like as we exercise, you feel good. That releases endorphins. It's your body likes that. It needs that. So it sets your, like I said, your circadian rhythm. That's going to help with your sleep. It's super, super important.
Yep, circadian rhythm. And then vitamin D production is in there twice, by a little typo there. But the other thing is it's going to lower your blood pressure.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that, but nitric oxide is a vasodilator. So it helps to relax, vasodilate those arteries. So there's not, that decreases your blood pressure. And that affects, even if you go on vacation down in the Caribbean, that benefit of the sun that you're going to get from that 48 hours has that cardiac benefit afterwards. So if you're getting daily, exposure, safe exposure to the sun, you're getting that vasodilation or whatever that's going to help with your heart health.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's benefits to it. But you also have to be careful because obviously we're also taught to you have to put sunscreen on as you're going outside, right?
And everyone got that memo.
Everybody got that memo, right?
It's like back when we were young, it was dark tanning oil, and based on that, we don't do that anymore. But the most sold, sunscreens, they found, FDA regulates ingredients to make them safe, if they're safe for us. And they found the top ones in the chemical sunscreens, which are the most sold across the board. The ingredients, the FDA finally tested that and released that, and we're going to go through those.
Yeah. So again, the ones you're going to find in any store, any kind of big store, these are the ones that are on the shelf that you're buying. I guarantee we used to buy them as well, right?
Yeah, the Banana Boat, Coppertone, all those are all of the chemical sunscreens. So
yeah, and they contain various chemicals such as the oxybenzone.
Yeah, avobenzone, we know Hawaii actually banned that a while ago because it was affecting the coral reefs there. Europe has reduced the amount that these can actually be put in their products significantly. And the amount that we have in ours is like 10 times beyond the safe dose that they've even deemed. So when the FDA tested all that, they could not say that it was safe and effective.
Some of these are kind of hard to pronounce, but homosalate, is that right? No.
Homosalate.
Homosalate. That's right. That's right. Look that up. I forgot.
But these are in. If you look at any of your, like I said, Coppertone, Banana Boats, I haven't bought those in years, so I actually don't have one of those around. But they're going to have these in there, and they tested all of them, and none of them passed.
Yeah, all these ones. So when you look again, it goes back to reading the labels. If you look at the labels, these are all the stuff that's in there, and it's like the top ingredients, which are going to stay in your skin.
Those are the active ingredients.
Yeah.
So there is not one single sunscreen. Remember, those are the most bought, purchased, used, and we use them extensively because we've been told to slather yourself. There's no safe amount of sun. This has been taught by doctors, by everybody. There's no safe amount of sun. There's no safe tan. And that's just not true. I'm like, you will still see that all over the place. But not only are people putting this, you are putting this on your whole entire body, and the FDA could not deem any of those safe.
Right. So what does not contain these chemicals are mineral type sunscreens, which are your zinc oxide
and
titanium oxide.
That's
yes.
It.
So and those are going to be more expensive. But again, think about this. Do you want to have something in your skin that's going to be harmful or not as harmful?
That is literally the FDA said is not safe.
Yeah.
That other countries have banned.
So yeah, think about that for just a minute when you really are going to the store next time. And the other reason, though, that you have to be a little bit careful, though, is even in zinc and titanium, there are still seed oils in those, but there's going to be the lowest amount of ingredients, but they're still going to be in there, unfortunately.
So yeah, try to find ones that actually don't have that. This is one of the ones that I use, but it is harder. It is harder to put on. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
That's
one that we're using right now.
It is not, I don't, but when I'm out there past that, I do absolutely. You have to really rub it in. It's kind of a pain. It's the other stuff is much easier, but remember, your skin is a gigantic organ, the biggest organ, and you're putting something that is unsafe all over your whole entire body that is being absorbed. And now we know these chemicals and why they're not safe or whatever, because they're huge. They know they are hormone endocrine disruptors. This is not good. It can affect, we know it goes into, it's found in the bloodstream. It's found weeks later. It's found in the placenta of pregnant women applying sunscreen. So this is a big deal, you know? So it's not something that you want an unsafe product going into your body that's staying there. And this is one application that stays. can be detected in the blood weeks later.
So if you think about that, you're putting it every day. If you happen to be outdoors every day, it's in your bloodstream weeks and weeks and weeks. And all this stuff compounding can start to have detrimental effects, like a lot of things, right? So you just got to be careful. As we mentioned a minute ago, Hawaii banned this because people were putting it on, going out in the ocean, and then it was affecting the coral reef. It was destroying the coral reefs because of the chemicals that were in the sunscreen.
Yep. So that's.
And as we also has greatly reduced the amount that they allow in products because they, you know, they actually went through
a lot of other countries don't allow the things that we do.
Yeah,
they just don't.
So at least we've acknowledged it in this country, in the United States, but
they
other
haven't
countries,
changed any.
They haven't changed it, but they just acknowledge that it's not good for you.
Yeah,
which is good. So. And then also you got to be careful. And a lot of people, especially in the northern hemisphere, want to put on tanning sprays and lotions. Those contain a lot of toxins.
A lot of
so you just have to be careful. You got to read the labels. You just don't understand it. Yeah, you're going to look a little bit for that short trip, but there's a cost to that, right? Mm-hmm. So, but obviously a way to be safe in the sun, right? We're going to talk about that for a minute. And the best way is just get it again early in the morning and the evening, because the sun is not as high in the sky.
It's not as intense.
It's not as going to be as intense, right? Because you're still able to get all the benefits from the sun.
Now, these are the times where you can safely, like I said, it's hot out. No one's wearing long sleeves when they're running. You know, you want to have more of your skin exposed to get the sunlight benefits, to, like I said, for that melatonin production, the serotonin, for the vitamin D production. Those are the amounts, like I said, of skin you have showing. You're most likely going to do that with your running attire. And you're probably going to be running early in the morning anyways to beat the heat, or late in the evening to beat the heat. So you're probably going to be doing those where you're getting a safe amount, where, you know, those are the incidents where, you know, I don't wear sunscreen. So, but that's your choice, up to you. Like I said, if you're going, a lot of people up north, they like to go on those Caribbean vacations. You know, you're going to have to, you know, you might be at the beach all day. You might be in water sports all day. Obviously, you're going to have to be safe about that. Cover up. That's the type of sun exposure that could get you into trouble, you know, because of especially if you're fair skinned, your, you know, ethnicity, if you're Scandinavian, if you're, you know, I'm Irish, she's Scandinavian, you know, so light fared, you know, it's going to be more susceptible. So you want to cover up. They do have SPF clothing. You want to slowly expose yourself. You can safely, if you're someplace for a while, for weeks, maybe you summer. If you're retired, you might summer somewhere, you know, where it's warm. So vice versa, wherever, you know, however it is. But whatever it is, just like with our mileage, with anything we do, slowly building up to it, to where you get a safe base layer. I do not believe that having a slow built up of having a tan is unsafe, but that's me.
Right. That's our choice, right? So, and again, if you're going to be out, using the mineral sunscreen, but just reapply as necessary if you're out during the middle of the day when the sun is going to be at its most intense.
And you're sweating.
And you are sweating, right? Which is what she's been doing lately outside, doing some stuff.
I've had to come in, rehydrate with electrolytes, cool off, and reapply sunscreen, because it is, well, we're in Texas, and if you're in Texas, a lot of you are, you know that the heat is real here.
And especially starting this month. But again, as we just mentioned, you can safely build up to it. Again, use common sense based on your history of the sun. Your skin type is going to have a lot to do with that as well. So you just have to, again, do your own research in that regards. But what's interesting, though, is there's been observational studies that show that people that live closer to the equator, which tells you they're getting more sunlight, have lower rates of autoimmune diseases. I mean, think about that. Just statistically, the data tells you a story.
Now, those are observational. We know that those are not causative, like this causes that. There's very few. Those are only the double-blind, you know, pretty much pharmaceutical trials that can do that. But there is enough propensity of evidence kind of showing this. So
yeah, there's enough data there that you can make an observation to say, well, if there's people that live in this part of the world,
it's associated with
associated, then there must be something there, or there could be something there, I should say, right? So
exactly.
So here's the one thing that we talked about a couple weeks ago, and we're going to keep coming back to this because the more we learn, the more we just realize how bad it is seed oils. And this actually affects your skin in a big, big way. You'll always be avoiding all of these types of oils, which sadly in North America is in so much of our food. And you look at the health issues that we have, and all packaged food: corn oil, canola oil, safflower, sunflower, soybean, peanut oil, cottonseed, oh my God, and grapeseed oil. This stuff is so bad for you. And yet it's in so much of our foods that we're consuming. And it's designed, it's engineered to taste good, so you keep eating it and you keep eating more of it. And that's sad, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah, and there's easy ways to avoid it. We've talked about that. We'll do some more. I'll show you some of the, I make my own dressings. You can swap out things. It's very easy to avoid these if you just eat real food.
Yeah, real food is the key thing. The reason why this is so bad is that it becomes on the inside of your body now. It's stored in your cell membranes, and your cell is the biggest membrane in your body. It's covering everything, right?
Yeah, we know every cell has a cell membrane, and it's made of fat. So and we know seed oils are fats that get stored in our adipose tissue all over. So when you're constantly making new cells, we have trillions of cells. They're constantly being turned over. You want those cell membranes to be made by healthy fats. That's what makes them, not seed oils, which are highly susceptible to oxidation, causing free radical damage. So those cell membranes that are not healthy become really fragile, and they become susceptible to, like I said, oxidative stress and free radicals, and can cause a lot of problems. And we have trillions of cells. So do you want trillions of cells that are fragile and not doing that? If you have a lot of linoleic acid, like I said, they test this. It stays in your fat cells for like 6 to 8 years. But the more that you have, remember, our skin cell is a gigantic cell membrane that covers our whole body. And when that's exposed to the sun, if all of your, proponents of your fat is being made with linoleic acid, that's being exposed to the sun. So not only on the inside with your organ and everything else that's going on, it's also from the outside because your skin is exposed to the sun. So, like I said, highly oxidation happens.
We've talked about that. Yeah. So cooking with that type of corn oil, things like that, right? That's highly susceptible to oxidation when it goes to heat. If you're outside with the sun, that's going to be a form of heat, which is going to just cause a whole slew of issues. So therefore, like Patty was just saying, your membranes become very, very, very fragile. Your cell membranes, which is the most thing exposed when you're outside. And it's clearly been shown, the studies have been shown, high consumption of seed oils associated.
These are
observational studies, again,
epidemiology studies that have it's a different weight than, there's a hierarchy of studies for their, based on methodology and propensity. They can parse it out. Like I said, causation, everybody wants this causes this, but very few studies can meet that rigorous form. Like I said, the double blind, usually drug trials are ones that have that. But there is enough of this. When there's enough of that evidence, the propensity of that evidence coming up, and they're studying this more, and they're finding that there's an association there. There's an increased risk by like 18%. That's a decent,
it's a statistically significant amount for them to say that observational is something to take seriously, basically, is the bottom line. So again, it goes back to the foundation. Seed oils are the foundation of everything evil in this regards, right?
It's pointing that way. There's pretty soon, I believe, are going to be preponderance of evidence to say, yes, we can say that this is a good theory. That, just we know smoking causes lung cancer. We can't say smoking causes lung cancer because that cannot be proven, because it's not that type of data. You're not doing interventional studies for that. But there was enough evidence to realize that, we say that it does because we believe that. This is leading to that. So all the stuff that I've studied, all the stuff that I'm seeing is going there. The only thing that says it's not going there is sponsored by Big Pharma and Big Food. So take that for what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So just be careful. So now, what are some do's and don'ts for skincare? Now, this was a little bit of a surprise for us, but like a lot of stuff, if you do things in large quantities or large volumes,
it's the dose.
It's the dose that you got to be careful, right? So now here you're saying, okay, celery is bad. In large amounts, if you were eating it just as your only food intake, yes, it would be potentially bad.
And if you are someone who is light skinned, someone who you burn really easily. These are things to take in when you're going on your beach vacation. You burn easily. These are foods that actually will increase your photosensitive. Can actually make a smaller amount of sun exposure be more detrimental. So, not saying you can't eat this, but there's been that big trend of like juicing with celery. That it sounds good in theory. It sounds like it's healthy, but that is a high concentration of this. Is eating some celery bad? But no. Is having how many stalks of celery put into something that's juiced or something that you can drink that much of? Yeah. And that has become popular. The juicing and doing all these and adding so much of these vegetables into that the Sarlins are a category of foods. These are the ones that have the most. So not that you can't eat these, but if you are into juicing, if you are into eating a lot of this, drinking a lot of grapefruit juice, these are some things, like I said, that's going to increase, especially if you are fair skinned, Scandinavian descent. All of these things are just things to think of as precautions. Now, they also have that oxalates are all things that can irritate your skin, and people that are more sensitive, it can cause skin allergies. A lot of people have issues between acne, between cirrhosis, eczema, all these things. There's some evidence to believe that these could be exacerbating those also.
Right. And again, they're going to be accumulating in your skin. Think about this. You're consuming this on the inside, as we just mentioned. This is just an example of too much of this is not going to be good. But what you can do is eat collagen. You can get collagen, I should say, from foods that you're eating, like bone broth, skirt steak, fibrous steaks. Those are great forms of collagen, which are actually good for your skin health, right? Biotin. We take a supplement for biotin.
I take this every day. Yep.
Yeah.
But it's
pull that back up.
I mean, that's just the one.
Yeah, that's just one that we're using right now.
Yeah.
So, but that's just one that we're focusing on. Again, this is stuff that we do, right? So we're also trying to make sure we get some form of zinc in our food consumption, because
and you don't need a lot. Like
you don't need a lot,
milligrams. So it's not a lot of zinc that you need, but it is crucial in a lot of different enzymatic reactions in the body. But with the skin also, vitamin A, everyone knows retinol is a huge part of that. Retinol is a big part of the whole getting sunlight, the production of vitamin D. There's a lot of other things involved with all of the mechanisms that are involved with what it does. Like I said, helping our bone health, helping our immunities with that part of it, but that protective mechanism that it has. Vitamin A, you probably heard of that, but vitamin E is another one. That can help you if you can't always give up the seed oils. This helps to mitigate it a little bit, but you do have to have a mixture. I don't want to go, it's a little more complicated, but the type of E matters. So this is the one that I'm using now because I researched it. It has the 3 different ones in there that you need, because there's a lot of different types of vitamin E's out there. Most of them are garbage, but you have to do a little more research to find the ones that are good.
Yeah, and if you want some feedback on that, you can always comment below the video here, and we can always get back to it. The one that we've researched and we started taking recently, just
Yeah.
for food thought. And then lastly is berries. Actually, berries can be very good for your
Because they have
skin.
the polyphenols, they got the vitamin C, they have rich, and so those are things. There's a lot of things that we can do that can help it. Like I said, avoiding some of those things, the food, definitely the seed oils are not good for anything. I believe you can cut that out of your diet completely, you'd be better off because you'd be eating mostly whole foods.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest thing.
That's the bottom line, right? So we say this each and every week is that your foundation starts with the nutrition that you're eating, and that's going to let you run better with the strength, all these things. And obviously the sun exposure ties in today because we're outside. We want to be outside running. We want to get that sun exposure, the vitamin D and all the benefits we discussed today, but you got to be careful on the sunscreen that you're using, right? So all of this stuff ties together, which is fascinating to me. So if you guys ever want some help just getting started, you can go to runtips.us/call and we can set up a time.
Or if you have any concern about supplements and doing a lot of this stuff, like I said, it can be confusing and it is overwhelming. And knowing what studies are good and knowing how to see about studies, that's that. Like I said, it can get pretty technical, but there's ways to parse through that. And like I said, we share things that we come across, and things to the best of my ability, and this is what I have come up and what I do. It's not saying that you should do this, but we want this always to be on your radar. But if you have questions about any of this stuff, or if you want us to research anything, like I said, I will research whatever. But when you get confused about things, or when it seems like, oh, that's just too much to try to fit, that's when we have inaction. We always want to feel empowered to make informed decisions.
Yeah,
so
that's why we're sharing this stuff. We're not saying to do what we do. We're sharing with you guys what we do. And you can think for yourself, right? But if you want some help, is the point here, you can go to runtips.us/call. We can help you get started. Time and time again, we talk to people, just that little bit of guidance on some things. And it's shocking how some minor changes can make some big impacts. So the old saying is sometimes small hinges open big doors. And we say this from personal experience because we've gone through this transformation ourselves, lost our weight. We got our high school weight. We say this all the time. We'd be this way the rest of our lives because we know what to eat. And we keep learning. We don't know everything, but we keep learning because we keep researching it and because we love it. We have a passion.
It changes, you have to be willing to, science changes, and you have to be willing to, you can't be so dogmatic about things. You have to be willing to always, and your doctor should be, and the people that you follow should be, they should be open to new research and stuff. You have to watch the zealots that are like, this is it, and this is what it's not. And we've all probably been that way at some point in our life about something,
right.
Us definitely included. But the key is growing means that you're like, all right, that's what I thought then based on the knowledge that I had, but now
new data has come out. Data always gives you the guidance, right?
Absolutely. So you always have to be willing to look at it. You always have to be willing to, listen to new things, and then you decide. That's how you can make decisions, because we want you all living that healthy, happy lifestyle. That's what everyone deserves.
So with that, we'll let you guys get after your Saturdays. Thanks for joining. Go to runtips.us/call if you want some help. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye now.
See you guys.